Good morning, everyone. If you've been following the coronavirus and the journalists, the citizen journalists coming out of China, I was following one of these guys, not Fang Bin, but I was following Chen, and they've gone missing. Both of them have. So this is the BBC News' report on this. Why have two reporters in Wuhan disappeared? They are citizen journalists wanting to provide the, quote, truth of what is happening in Wuhan, the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak in China. They posted videos online, shared pictures and dramatic stories from inside the quarantine city that has been virtually cut off from the rest of the country. Now, they're nowhere to be found. Fang Bin and Chen Qishi, sorry if I got those wrong, were both determined to share what they could about the crisis, reporting from Wuhan, the capital of Hubei province, and sending what they found out into the world. As a result, they racked up thousands of views on their videos, but their channels have now gone quiet, and those who followed them online fear they may have disappeared for good. Yeah, and that's concerning, right? Like that's really terrible. So if you follow these stories or these journalists, I had friends who were sending me Chen's videos daily saying, like, this looks worse than what they're saying. Yeah. Yep, just a bit. The numbers have been updated as well. It's not quite as dramatic as yesterday's numbers, but still another 5,000 cases. Wild, right? 64,000 people. And they've got this handy chart giving you the death percentage, right? So 11% are recovering so far of these numbers, but these numbers need to be taken with a grain of salt. Even the WHO is trying to determine their own numbers for this virus. So these are the official numbers as of the Communist Party of China are reporting, and so they should be taken with a grain of salt. And the Ontario numbers were updated yesterday. We've gone down by one. This is a recovery. I still think the use of resolved is weird, and no more presumed positive, no more confirmed positive either. Moving on to crime and policing, this is an interesting story that I think a lot of these things get buried. And I mean, 7 p.m. the day before Valentine's Day, and not to say that it's a Thursday night, right? Today's Friday, February 14th. But still, I think this is a big story. CP24 is reporting Toronto police chief unaware officers have been using controversial facial recognition software for months. Oh, so the police chief had no idea. And when he found out, he put a stop to it? Yeah, he did. Okay, here we go. Toronto police said Thursday several of its officers were using facial recognition software that has been under scrutiny due to privacy concerns. The use of the software, without the police chief's knowledge, had gone on for months. Toronto Police Services spokesperson Megan Gray said in an email to CP24 that some officers began informally testing Clearview AI in October last year before Chief Mark Saunders ordered it to stop. The chief directed that its use be halted immediately upon his awareness, and the order to cease using the product was given on February 5th, 2020, Gray said. It's not immediately known how and when Saunders became aware of the testing. According to its website, Clearview AI offers law enforcement a tool to search a trove of public images that it has collected from the internet to help with investigations. The company, which was founded in 2017 by Richard Schwartz and Hone Ton Fat, became a subject of a New York Times report last month, revealing that more than 600 enforcement agencies, as well as a handful of companies, have been using Clearview. The tool, quote, the tool could identify activists at a protest or an attractive stranger on the subway, revealing not just their name, but where they lived, what they did, and whom they knew, the Times reported. Several social media sites had sent cease and desist letters to this company, In May of last year, it was revealed that Toronto police had access to facial recognition software different from Clearview. It uses the TPS database of approximately 1.5 million mugshots, a small number compared to the 3 billion photos Clearview has amassed to find a possible suspect from a surveillance camera or witness image. When asked if the tool has been used to make an arrest in the past 4 months, Gray said they are still gathering more details. Gray said they have requested the Information and Privacy Commissioner and the Crown Attorney's Office work with police to review the technology as an investigative tool. Quote, until a fulsome review of the product is completed, it will not be used by the Toronto Police Service. Except since October up until February 5th. It was used then. But no more, not until we review it. And how do they review it? How transparent is that review? Is that review public? Is that review just for the chief? Is that review for the chief and a couple of guys who've been using this since October and they quite like it? Like, ooh, who's she? Wonder if she's got nudes, right? Like, weird, icky, weird. Via rail, and this is a lot about the rule of law in this country. I've been talking about it a lot, and I think people don't understand what the rule of law means. And fundamentally, the rule of law means justice is blind. You need to follow the law as it's written, without consideration of your situation or who you are or what color your skin is or what gender you are, what sex you are. It doesn't matter, right? Like the law is the law, and that's how it's laid out. But all of a sudden, we've got police not enforcing some laws, and we've got CN closing entire networks because of an illegal blockade that has been ruled illegal that the police are not acting on. This is a completely self-made situation. And I'm going to show you a police officer threatening to arrest a media person, somebody who wants to report on this, but not threatening to arrest the actual protesters who are blocking the railway line, which I'm going to show you is illegal. Okay, first, here's the CBC article from yesterday at 5 p.m., February 13th, 5 p.m. Via Rail cancels most trains nationwide. CN closes Eastern Canadian network as Indigenous protests continue. CN Rail and Via Rail are shutting down huge sections of their railway networks as Indigenous blockades continue to cripple the country's transportation systems. Via Rail is temporarily ending most passenger services nationwide, expanding an earlier work stoppage that restricted train cancellations to the Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal corridor. Via Rail has no other option but to cancel all of its service on the network, with the exception of Sudbury White River, CP Rail, and Churchill the Pass Hudson Bay Railway. Until further notice, the rail operator said in a media statement. The company said it would automatically process full refunds for all canceled trips. You do not need to contact Via Rail to confirm the refund, but note that due to the volume of transactions, it may take up to 15 days to receive. Oof. The Crown Corporation said, we understand the impact this unfortunate situation has on our passengers and regret the significant inconvenience this is causing to their travel. CN Rail, the country's largest railway, is, quote, initiating a progressive and orderly shutdown of its Eastern Canadian network because the Mohawk protesters near Belleville, Ontario, have so far refused to dismantle their blockade. The railway operator said that the shutdown, which will affect the entire network east of Toronto, may result in temporary layoffs of CN workers. Via Rail trains run on CN tracks in most part of the country, a vestige of a time when CN ran its own passenger trains. The situation is regrettable, with over 400 trains canceled during the last week and new protests that emerge at strategic locations on our main line. We have decided that a progressive shutdown of our Eastern Canadian operations is the responsible approach to take for the safety of our employees and the protesters. JJ Roos, the president and CEO of CN, said in a media statement, the situation is regrettable. These protesters are unrelated to CN's activities and beyond our control. Our shutdown will be progressive and methodical to ensure that we are well set up for recovery, which will come when the illegal blockades end completely. Last week, CN Rail obtained a court injunction to end the illegal Mohawk demonstration. The injunction has been ignored by the protesters. Activists also ignored a request from the on reserve police for them to voluntarily dismantle the blockade. The injunction forbids any continued interference with the rail line under threat of arrest. The Ontario Provincial Police has not yet enforced this injunction. The federal government, which has jurisdictional authority over railways, has so far refused to intervene. Indigenous Services Minister Mark Miller has agreed to meet with the Mohawks on Saturday. And I scroll down. It says, what happened to the rule of law? Bob Masterson, president and CEO of the Chemistry Industry Association of Canada, said this shutdown could be devastating. Quote, it's a critical situation. It's an extremely dire situation for the economy and, in the coming days, for communities across the country, he told CBC's Power and Politics. He said 80% of his industry's products, such as jet fuel for planes and chlorine for drinking water, are shipped by rail. Masterson said the provincial police need to enforce the court-ordered injunction and clear out the Mohawk protesters. Quote, everyone has a right to protest, but the courts have said you've gone too far. It's no longer in the public interest, he said. The actions are illegal. This is trespassing. What happened to the rule of law in Canada? I'll show you what happened. It's been thrown out the window. Here's the CN website, and it says these are frequently asked questions. Why is walking on or near tracks illegal? It is illegal and dangerous to walk on or along railway track. In Canada and the United States, railways are private property, and individuals trespassing on railway tracks or property can face arrest and receive fine. You could also lose your life or limb while trespassing. Can I cross the tracks quickly as a shortcut? Railway tracks should only be crossed at designated authorized crossings. Crossing tracks at any other location is considered trespassing, which is both illegal and dangerous. I saw some children playing along the tracks. Is that safe? No, it's very dangerous. Please contact CN Police Service at 1-800-465 9239 to report trespassing on railway tracks, property, or equipment. I saw people walking along the tracks. Who should I call? They provide the number. Can I film or take pictures on the railway property? Okay, so you get my drift here. It is very clearly illegal. It is very clearly dangerous. It is very clearly not a great idea to do this. Here is a police officer, Officer Waters, I believe his name is. Yeah, Sergeant Waters. And he is telling the media person, and he claims that he's an accredited member of the media. I have no reason to disbelieve him. Freelance visual journalist. So he was going to take some pictures. And he's being told that I will kick you out if you're a journalist, but those protesters are allowed to stay. Why are police officers protecting protesters who have erected barriers and structures on the tracks, which is illegal and dangerous, and there's a court order against it? Why are they protecting these people? Where has the court, the rule of law gone in this country? It is incredibly, this thing here, this video is, I almost came in and recorded it separately because I thought it would be gone this morning. But it's so concerning because it's just underscoring that the police are not there to protect you, your rights, or anything to that effect. Like the Charter of Rights in Canada guarantees a free press. That doesn't necessarily mean this reporter has a right to go and take pictures where this police officer is saying that he can't go. But it is very, very difficult to believe him when he's not willing to enforce the law on those other people, right? Those other people are allowed to break the law flagrantly, and this other person is being told, you have to leave, otherwise I'm going to arrest you. The same thing happened on the highway the other day with the Canadian person who was dismantling the highway blockade, and the police officer arrested him. Unbelievable. What is happening to our country? Why is this okay? It's not okay. Watch.
No, I'm not going to. Lord, explain it to you. You're on private property and you have to leave.
And what'll happen?
If you're a protester, then you're protesting, right? But if you're just the media, that's different. You're not allowed on the private property.
I'm sorry, are you saying there are better and more protected rights for protesters?
Are you protesting?
No, I'm an accredited member of the media.
Okay, then I'm asking you as an accredited member of the media,
Yes.
do you get off the property?
But you're going to let the protesters stay.
At this point, yes.
Okay. And your name, sorry?
Sergeant Steve Waters.
Okay, with local RCMP?
No, CP Police.
CP Police.
Yes.
Okay, can I speak to...
Do you have any other questions? Because I'm asking you to leave.
Yeah, I just would like you to explain again why an accredited member of the media is being asked to leave, but protesters are being allowed to stay.
Because if you're an accredited member of the media,
Yeah.
and you're on private property, if you're being asked to leave, you're subjecting yourself to being arrested. Do you understand that?
I do understand that. Can you explain why that's different for the protesters?
Can I see your ID, please?
Sure.
So and that's where the video ends. He says, explain why that's different for the protesters. So he didn't ever answer the question. The question fundamentally wasn't like, explain to me what's illegal about this. We know what's illegal about this. You're saying it's private property. But the thing that he was asking Sergeant Waters is, why is the law not being applied to these people? Why do they get to stay and the accredited media person doesn't? Why is the law being applied to him and not to them? What's the difference, Sergeant Waters? Right? And here's Jesse Winter again. This is the same person. He said, specifically, Waters said multiple times that if I was a protester, I could stay, but if I was an independent from them, I was being asked to leave. If I did not, I would be subject to arrest because it's private property. And it's private property, as we went through here in the CN FAQ, right? Like the frequently asked questions. So he was not arrested. The journalist was not arrested. Here's an image from that protest. It says, in fairness, this is his tweet. He says, what I think he may have been trying to say was that I'd be subject to arrest in the same way that the protesters are. But regardless, I told him I understood, was not going to leave, and he has since let me be. So, I mean, that's a little bit of silver lining in this. But the fact that the officer is willing to go through the procedure of saying this is illegal and you'll be arrested, while simultaneously not acting in the same way to these people, clearly breaking the same trespassing laws, is concerning. Right? Like that's very, very concerning. Here's Justin Trudeau saying we're obviously a rule of law country. And I don't know if he's trying for stand-up or if he's trying to be funny, but I'm sick of this act. Sick of it. Here he is.
This is a situation we're following very closely. I had a long and constructive conversation with Premier Horgan on the flight. I know Mr. Garneau is going to give you an update soon back home. But obviously, we're a country of the rule of law, and we need to make sure that those laws are followed.
Right. Except that you're not. I just wanted to show you that Canadian rights and Charter of Rights and Freedoms expressly states freedom of the press. it's a slippery slope to, well, further utilization of the police to shut down a press, further utilization of the police to enable protests like this, further utilization of the police to shut down our industry, shut down our transportation, shut down the lifeblood that runs this country, right? This is not the way you get things done in a democratic rule of law country. This is going backwards. This is a big, big problem. I hope people are paying attention. Thanks for watching, everybody. Check out CanadaPoly.com, check out CanadaReport.co, and have a wonderful, wonderful